Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Crisis Point podcast. I'm your host, Ryan, and today I'm joined by Shane
Hello.
and Ben.
Hello.
So, a lot of stuff happening nowadays in the world of Marvel Crisis Protocol. Very exciting stuff, and some stuff that Shane is very excited about. Hint, it has to do with Rhino. Yeah, where do we even want to begin here?
Well, what have you been up to, Ryan? How's life? It's just we're like
We're not
3
here
days
to
after
talk.
Christmas.
We're not here to talk about my life, Shane. We're here to
And we
talk about Marvel Crisis Protocol.
Well,
No, but
we
like
just,
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
I'm good. We just had Christmas and the holidays and all the
Yeah,
good stuff.
I
It's been
know.
cold up here, but
Yeah,
lo-
it's horribly freezing. Ben, I know that you already have everything for Marvel Crisis Protocol, but did you get any Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff for Christmas?
um, I may have convinced a family member to get me another Sentinel scent, because I want more Sentinels.
Out of curiosity, how many Sentinels are you now the proud owner of?
Uh, five, five.
Okay.
Uh,
How many can you run in a team?
Technically two Mark IVs and then Prime, but um,
It's good to have spares. I understand.
it's good to have spares, and it's extra, terrain damage stuff. There's
Yeah.
some cool stuff,
hmm
So I may or may not have a problem. AKA I have a problem, and I may or may not have bought some stuff from Etsy. I
Nice.
did, I did,
Nice.
I bought
yeah.
a lot, so I got a problem. I got a problem. Somebody help.
For me, I feel like Ben, I kind of just like happened upon a bunch of stuff at Everwinter, so it's like I have so
Oh
much
yeah.
to like build and paint that I haven't
Yeah.
even
I was
started yet, and
I really. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, I couldn't even imagine getting more. I'm glad I didn't get more because
yeah.
it would be, and I have Rhino in a few weeks to worry about, so it's a lot.
I'm actually. You know what I'm really excited about is the Hydra terrain.
Oh
Oh
Like
yeah.
yeah,
there's a tank that comes with an ultimate encounter. Yes. Like I just want it. I just want my Hydra tank like really bad.
yeah, it looks cool. And then there's the other terrain sets too that are coming out that are Hydra themed. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I am super stoked about it. I'm running into a problem of like not all of my mats kind of mesh with like the theme. So I've got the cosmic mat and like a city mat, but I don't really have a mat that's gonna fit super well with like the Hydra terrain. So I've got to.
You're just like me. You got to have everything matching.
I yes,
Otherwise, the
I've
immersion is just gone.
just shattered.
So
Just
this game actually, I think it's just because the gameplay is so good, and it's like so. I'm so engrossed by how this game plays that it's like honestly like the the immersion, like in terms of like the aesthetic, is not really that big of a deal for me as opposed to like other tabletop board games. Um,
mm,
yeah, which is like crazy for me to think about from a personal standpoint. But yeah, I did not get any MCP stuff for Christmas this year, which is totally
ooh,
fine because I am
ooh.
I am busy painting up Black Order. I basically finished Corvus Glaive the other night. He took probably like an hour to paint, honestly.
we were
I've
just talking about Corvus before we got on this call.
Oh,
Ben and I
good,
were
because I need your help. I played 2 games of Black Order last night. They were my first 2 games with Black Order, and they, to me, after those first 2 games, they don't look like they play very well on these new Crisis cards. So maybe later on in this episode, you guys can give me some tips, or we can
were you,
theory craft something.
out of curiosity, were you doing Thanos or were you doing Corvus led
No,
Black?
I have not built Thanos yet. So I was running basically like the 3 I was running was Ebony Maw with one of the 2 gems, and then I ran Corvus Glaive with one of the 2 gems, and Proxima Midnight. Those were like the core for both of the games, and then
Yeah.
the first game I souped in Baron Zemo
Yeah.
and Black Widow.
Actually, I was messing with the Rostron Cerebro, and I have both of them as splashes, so I
Yeah,
like it.
Widow is a great two splash.
Mm.
And then Zemo is great with his reroll. Like he's a
It says
great
core
three.
box champs.
Yeah. Um. But yeah. Anyway, what were we talking about? Yeah. No. So yeah,
Black Widow.
I've been painting up. I'm in the process of painting up Black Order, and actually I went through Shane and I itemized my pile of shame, just all
Uh-huh.
of my hobby projects, and I sent this to Ben at Battle Brothers Tabletop last night, and he responded to my list saying, I'll read it directly here because it was hilarious what he said after I sent it to him. He said, this is over 4 separate messages. Oh, Ryan, you have ascended. This is honestly impressive, unrivaled hobby ambition here. So,
Ooh. Ooh.
so, yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna send this to you guys live, and I want to know what you guys think
Of the list.
of the list. Yeah. Does this look like long to you guys? I
We
just sent
just
it. I just sent it in the Discord. Take a look, and does that look long to you?
I'm looking. Yeah. It's well.
I'm
You know.
mostly
Well.
interested in like Ben's because I know Ben. Out of between you and Shane, you would have like the biggest hobby backlog, I would think.
uh, yes. Well, see, here's the cool thing, and this is pro tip: get married and have your spouse um, do all of the painting. That's what I found
But I
was
like the
helpful.
painting.
Oh yeah, no, that's what's worked for me for almost 9 years.
Uh huh.
So uh, this is a pretty extensive backlog.
Yeah.
See,
Maybe I'll post this in the show notes just to see what
Yeah.
the community
I
thinks.
mean, this looks problematic to me.
Oh
But
Yeah,
I
no.
this is a lot. This is a
I
lot.
would I would say this is coming from me. I always make sure that I don't have a big backlog because I'm very disciplined about not buying things unless I've finished what I have. And I actually right now it's my backlog is sizable compared to what I'm used to having. I think I have
Yeah.
like I have a lot of uh I have Sentinels to build and paint. I have the Bullseye Daredevil box, the Nick Fury Junior box, Thanos. I have a bunch of Chaos Demons. Um, there's some other Kill Team stuff. So for me, that's quite a bit. I usually don't let it get that bad. But what I'm looking at here, Ryan, and we'll just let the viewers, the listeners,
Yeah, we'll let the listeners
imagination
decide.
run wild. This is
This,
No,
you
th-
might
I'll definitely put this in the comments up on YouTube at
okay.
least.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't know.
that's yeah,
Maybe if I'm shamed by the greater public, I will.
Yeah.
That'll light a fire under me to get it
that,
done.
that will encourage. Hey, a little public shaming never hurt somebody, right?
Yeah.
So we.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
but enough about me and my mental state. Let's move on now, and get into the episode. We're gonna start off like we basically do with every episode, and I'm gonna spin this wheel because it is time
Splash
for
Mountain.
Splash Mountain.
So I guess hold on before you spin the wheel. I've
Yeah.
noticed in the last few episodes we have just been going into it as if everybody knows what Splash Mountain is. So
Yes.
just in case you're a new listener, Splash Mountain is we have a wheel of every character in the game, other than the ones we've already landed on, and Ryan spins the wheel, and then we pick uh, basically from the wheel, it lands on a character, any character, just about except Dormammu, and we pick a splash destination for that character. All three of us, we pick a unique destination, and it's usually quite grueling because we have not gotten a. I don't think we've gotten a good character. I
Who
mean, we've
was?
gotten okay
Yeah,
characters.
like who was the best character we got even?
Uh,
Ooh, that's
I
Captain
know it's
Marvel,
yeah,
maybe.
it's got to be Captain
boy.
Marvel because I
Yeah.
actually enjoy playing Captain Marvel.
Maybe Drax in affiliation is like fine. He's not like a
Hmm.
splash character,
Yeah.
but aside from that, we've had some downright bad
Oh
characters
yeah.
lately.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, sorry.
All right, so time to spin the wheel.
Oh,
It's a boo.
anticipation.
I know, boo.
What do we got?
Taskmaster.
Ooh,
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Not an amazing character, but I mean, easily into the upper echelon of our Splash Mountain segments
we're
so
yeah,
far.
we're moving up in the world.
Which actually, hold on, this is a rogue agent, so I guess he's very easy to splash. Um, he doesn't get the he doesn't count as affiliated for like tactics cards and such. So I mean, there's that. But I guess we haven't really thought about the possibility of a rogue agent being included on Splash Mountain.
Yeah.
So he is default included in. Correct me if I'm wrong. Shield and Criminal Syndicate and nothing else.
And Hydra.
Oh, he is Hydra now as well.
He
Makes
is
sense.
Hydra now too. Yeah.
Okay, so we have to find a destination for Taskmaster that is not in one of those. I guess I'll go over his card briefly, so that way we have time to think about it. So Taskmaster, I was actually running him recently on my foes. That's not my answer, but I do have I have some experience with Taskmaster. So he's a 3 threat, three defense across the board for everything. Overall, 11 stamina, 6 on the healthy side, 5 on the injured side. He's got a basic strike with a bleed. Wild trigger. He's got a shield throw. Shield throws are always good, except his doesn't give power, which is a shame. He's got a pretty cool spender that costs 2, range to 4 dice base, but you add dice equal to the target's physical defense, and they can't modify or reroll during it. He's got a counter strike, kind of like Widow's, called Photographic Reflexes, where if he does it, if they've already targeted him, he rolls 6 dice instead of 4. And then there's a few passive abilities. So the Rogue Agent ability we mentioned. There's Martial Artist, where if you're attacking within range 2, he adds blanks. And then Intuitive Pattern Recognition, which is if he gets attacked twice. I guess if he gets attacked more than once in the same activation by an enemy character, he adds 2 dice to his defense roll. So now that I have read the card for you guys, who who would like to start?
Who wants to dive?
Uh,
I've got one. Unless Ron, you want to go first?
no, you can go ahead first. I'm looking at one right now, actually.
Yeah. So
I'm still cooking
I
over here.
I'm like in Taskmaster. Are you ready? In
Mhm.
Asgard.
Okay.
In Asgard. So one of the things that Asgard really kind of struggles with is they have very expensive characters. Now they're getting a little bit cheaper, and we're going to talk a little bit about some reveals that we don't know too much about, but they're getting a little bit cheaper. But having a 3 cost person who's going to count towards the affiliation does free up some flexibility for Asgard. And what I really like about Taskmaster is he's really um, decentivizing people to attacking him, especially attacking him multiple times. And what Asgard can do for Taskmaster is he's going to have a lot of ways to spend power. So if you remember, or if our listeners can't recall, Thor's leadership allows you to spend a power at the start of a turn um, to either heal a target character or remove a condition. And so just keeping Taskmaster with his 6 health on his front side can actually be really kind of annoying, especially if he grabs an objective. You're going to have to force people to attack Taskmaster where he can, get that photogenic reflexes. He's going to be rolling, 5 dice, potentially counting blanks. Uh, I really like Taskmaster and Asgard as kind of some good defensive tech and keeping him alive.
Okay.
All right.
Interesting. Ryan, did you want to go next, or
Yeah,
do you
I'll
want
go
me to do?
next. So
Okay.
I was thinking souping Taskmaster or splashing him, excuse me, into Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Because Star-Lord has he's got the winging it tokens. So for those who don't know, during the power phase, Star-Lord chooses up to 3 allied characters. He gives each chosen character a winging it token. And while a character with a winging it token is attacking, defending, or dodging, it may spend a winging it token during the modified dice step to reroll 2 of its dice. And then at the end of the round, you remove all those tokens. So the reason why I think that's good is because looking at Taskmaster's offensive output, it's pretty lacking.
Mm.
Um, so I mean that helps a little bit, and then stacking. So like you were saying, Ben, figure this guy picks up an objective or is contesting an objective. If he's getting attacked inside 2, he's going to be counting those blanks. So actually, now that I say this, the reroll thing is not really that good at all. Um, uh, so I guess it just helps him with his attack and with his defense from anything outside of 2 inches. You know, he's a 3 threat with 6 stamina and 5 on his reverse. So yeah, I think that is a good way to buff him up just a little bit.
Okay.
I like it. I like it.
Um, so I'm like mildly torn on a couple, but I think I'm gonna say convocation.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Um, so he's not
wizards.
super helping on. I mean, he's 3/3/3, so we're not looking for that end. I know a lot of people when they splash into convocation, they look into characters with good mystic defense. I do think convocation is lacking a little bit in the department when it comes to guys that run up and brawl and throw out physical attacks and stuff and kind of like frontline at a cheap cost. But one thing I really like is the possibility of Taskmaster getting attacked once, and then he can either use the bump from the reactive bump from the um, convocation leadership card to then bump himself into range 2 possibly, or alternatively to bump himself out of range. But I mean, a lot of people like Taskmaster against like rapid fire characters,
Mm.
um,
Oh yeah.
like the physical damage dealers that like a Bucky or a Mystique that'll hit you twice with the same weak attack, and then the second time around, Taskmaster gets the extra dice there. And I do think, generally speaking, those characters are pretty decent against Convocation, unless they have their goodness gracious, with the physical into Mystic card. Why am I forgetting what it's
Ironbound
called?
Books of
Yeah,
Shumagorath.
unless Ironbound Books is up, then the Convocation characters are typically quite weak to those kinds of attacks. And I think having Taskmaster up front, potentially, running into those dangerous positions for them at a cheap cost could be good.
Yeah.
Um, I think generally speaking, I mean, Taskmaster is a rogue agent. He's very easy to splash,
Hmm.
just about anywhere. But yeah, that's kind of my thought here.
I like it.
Yeah, me
I
too.
like it.
Bumping into range 2 for martial artist basically is the answer.
Yeah. No. And again, you're kind of like decentivizing people to attack him. Um, you're making him a problem, which is sometimes you know what you need to do with Taskmaster, or people just go, I really don't want to hit that idiot. So you
Hmm.
know,
Oh,
um,
and in your if you're playing OG Strange in Convocation, OG Strange buffing his defense is really nice. Um, and the other thing I was torn was defenders potentially, and just to take him with OG Strange just to make his defense a little more obnoxious to deal with.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I like it.
But yeah, I think that pretty much does it for Splash Mountain, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're all set on that.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So I guess now we'll go ahead and move on to. Is this the latest reveal? Beta Ray Bill and Ulik, I think is how that's pronounced. Sorry, is confirmed to be coming to Marvel Crisis Protocol. I don't believe they have shown any cards or anything like that for them yet, unless I'm
Not for
mistaken.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
not
It
for those
was
guys yet.
it was initially a just a teaser for Bill, and then they revealed that the box is going to have Bill and Oleg. So Oleg, for those that don't know, in the Marvel comics, he's the king of the rock trolls, and I know this because after they revealed him, I googled his name
Yeah,
and I
right.
found that out about him. But I just I like Oleg already. I like the cut of his jib. He's just a funny looking guy, and I hope he's good. But Beta Ray Bill, I don't know much about Beta Ray Bill, but I've always thought he looks kind of funny, and I like that about him as well. This is just a funny looking box, and I just kind of like it. I
Yeah.
don't know what the characters do yet, but I like it.
Yeah, I read up on Beta Ray Bill a little bit, and I almost said in the lore. In the comics,
Technically correct.
he's like one of the last of like an alien race that like passes by Earth, and for whatever reason they decide to send Thor out to investigate or something, and uh, Beta Ray Bill wakes up and he's like, "Hey, what the hell is Thor doing on my ship?" And they get into a scuffle or something, and then it turns out Beta Ray Bill is worthy and is able to actually wield Thor's hammer. Um,
Yes, as
Odin,
Thor gets knocked unconscious, as he
yeah,
does.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh
Odin,
no, I'm unconscious.
Odin, in his infinite wisdom, decides to solve this dispute as to who's going to have this hammer by forcing both Thor and Beta Ray Bill to fight to the death. Odin,
Oh,
with respect. What? Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
dad of the year. Yeah.
yeah, really. Yeah, that dude is toxic.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, long story short, uh, they give Beta Ray Bill like his own hammer, and he basically like teams up with Thor, and they go and they fight like demons and whatever. Um, but yeah, so I would imagine he plays a lot like Thor. He's literally like an alien in Thor cosplay. So
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. Definitely gonna be both of these guys will be Asgard affiliated. Because
probably.
they're both characters from the Thor comics. It looks like so that's gonna be cool.
It is weird that, like,
Imagine
I
he's a better Thor. He's just a
well,
simply
oh
better
yeah,
Thor.
I wouldn't be surprised. But what's interesting to think about for me is that I also assume they'll be Asgard affiliated, but also like these would be the first Asgard affiliated characters that are not Asgardian, right?
Right.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Um, Ulick, I would bet money he's Cabal as well.
You
But
know, I don't know.
well, it wasn't Ulick. Okay, so I say this as if I know anything about Ulick, as I have already demonstrated I don't. But I thought I read somewhere that Ulick has teamed up with Malekith before.
Yes. So from my understanding, which is very limited because I don't watch a whole but or read a whole bunch of Thor comics, but Ulick just kind of like comes around and trolls Thor every now and then. Like he just kind of is like, haha, I'm the king of the trolls. And like just fights Thor just to, constantly, annoy him. He's definitely one of those like D-list Thor villains who shows up and Thor just like pimp slaps a couple of times. He's also, if you watched the I think 2012, 2014 Avengers show, he shows up in a couple of episodes there where Thor just kind of like punts him into outer space, just um, a couple of times, like, "Hey, what up, baby?" Bam.
Like
Just
I do like how
casually.
Ulick. I'm
Yeah,
looking at pictures of Ulick right now, and I like how he just has like brass knuckles.
yeah,
Yeah. Armed with knuckle dusters made from the same metal as Thor's mighty hammer. Oleg won't stop swinging until his foes are smashed to dust.
yeah. You just
Um,
sometimes you
do
just got to slap.
That's
and I've heard that Beta Ray Bill may be Guardians. Is that a thing?
He does join. He
maybe.
does join the. He does join the Guardians. I do know that. because he gets on the card, like you said, he gets his own hammer because he shows his own worthiness. And I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering correctly, that Beta Ray Bill and Thor fight the Brood, which the Brood are kind of like a reoccurring alien menace, that trademark don't look like aliens, from the Alien movie.
Uh,
Uh,
Oh.
but they like team up and defeat the Brood and kind of show Odin like, hey, I'm actually worthy type of thing. So they make him his own hammer, and that's what that golden
okay.
hammer. Which, fun fact, is actually one of the hammers from the hammer scenario, little tokens, is Beta
Huh.
Ray Bill's hammer.
Interesting.
I have way too much knowledge of this stuff. I don't know why I know this, but
Listeners, if we got
Somebody has
anything wrong regarding the backstory for these two characters, I apologize for
to.
and it's
forcing
all
you to
it's
listen
all,
to like 15 minutes of us ramble about stuff we barely know about.
yeah. Let's
But
talk about Magneto. I know about Magneto.
no, but
Enough.
I will say between Beta Ray Bill and the Agent Venom and Spider Woman box coming out, Guardians players feasting a little bit without actually getting like a box of their own. It's cool that they're getting releases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else? Rhino cards, right? That's the next thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the Rhino cards.
Yeah. I mean, how about so there's a couple. Well, first of all, there was another brace for impact because we just don't have enough
Hey,
already.
hashtag
Yeah,
more
there's
basic
no
base.
difference, right?
No,
I'm not
No,
crazy.
it's
Okay.
just no. It's just they just keep reprinting the same card. They reprinted it in Blob and Pyro as well.
yeah, like we
Yeah.
just got one.
Well, now I get a cool brace with Rhino on it, so I'm not, complaining about that.
Yep.
But the other two cards are both. I was hoping one of them would be a Spider Foes card, but they're both just Rhino cards.
Yeah.
And Ben, why don't you start with Rhino in a China shop? Because
Uh,
I want to talk about the other one. And
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, of course you do. So Rhino in a China shop. I love the picture, by the way. I love the
yeah,
art where it's Rhino just destroying everything, and Miles and Gwen are just like desperately trying to hold on. So Rhino in a China shop says Rhino may play this card at the beginning of his activation. The next attack Rhino makes this activation adds dice equal to the combined size of all terrain features destroyed this activation. At the end of this activation, Rhino suffers 2 damage. So you might remember that Rhino has an ability that's kind of like Juggernaut, where he can, if I'm remembering, it's called Stampede. Yep, there it is. Where he pushes himself medium for 3 power, and he can destroy size 2 or smaller terrain if he pushes himself through that. And generally, he adds 2 dice to his next core attack. Um, the best thing that I've been seeing since this card has been leaked or spoiled, I should say, is the use all 5 tactic cards to give Rhino like a 40 dice attack, which
yeah.
is
It's
hilarious to me, and I
and
need to see this in a game where you just slam 5 tactic cards to make Rhino have
yeah.
this insane attack.
So just to walk through it, this is the idea I had. So first of all, you use Rhino in a China shop, and then you stampede through like 2 size 2s, which is not crazy. You could do that.
Yeah.
Yep,
And then,
yep.
you get the extra 2 dice from Stampede. So you're at 7 dice. You've just destroyed a combined 4. So you're at 11 dice. And then let's say you have Smash and you smash a size 3. Then you're getting 3 dice from the Smash and 3 dice from the Rhino in a China shop. So you go from 11 to 17. And then let's say you have power left over to use Rhino's throw and you throw size 4 into a size 3 elsewhere. That's 7 more dice. So you're at 23 here. And then you use the other card that we're about to talk about to throw a size 4 character into a size 3. You get 3 more, so, I'm losing track, but we're at, like, what did I just say? We're at, like,
You're at
24, 20.
yeah, you're at like 24. Yep.
Um, and then there's oh god, I'm, like, forgetting some of it, but,
Well, and you
like,
get 2 additional dice just for stampeding.
yep, yeah, I was counting that, and then let's
Yeah.
say you have Face Me and use Face Me to walk somebody, and then you have Goblin blow up a size 3 terrain that they walk near, and then you get 3 more dice.
I
And
think
I
there
mean,
was a "Do you know who I am?" where you can
oh, yeah,
throw. Yeah, yeah,
Juggernaut uses "Do you know who I am" to throw another size 4 on the other side of the board into a size 3, and then you get 7 more dice.
yep.
And again, I've lost track, but it's just this is hilarious and not practical, but it's really funny.
It's really funny, and every Brotherhood player just cries like, "Stop! Please stop destroying all the terrain."
Yeah. Um, and then Rhino makes a big ol' attack.
Yep.
So somebody should do that.
Yeah, that's what we want to see. We want to see this happen. It's not a bad card, right? It's not great, and Shane is gonna talk about the card that just makes this card outshine. I mean, I think if they just showed this card, right, like if it was Brace and this card, I think people would probably run it. I think it's an interesting card.
Yeah.
The 2 damage isn't like that big of a deal.
Yeah,
Um,
and then he also gains 1 power from the 2 damage because of ornery.
right, right. So, it's a free tactic card. It doesn't cost any power. So, um, I, I like it. But Shane, you want to talk about the card that is just gonna every time you see Rhino, you're gonna see this card.
Yeah, this is a robbery. So, this card is both amazing and hilarious. Um, first of all, before I even get into it, this is kind of like a Juggernaut. Like, it's funny that we're comparing him to Juggernaut again. But when Juggernaut came out in his single box, he had 2 character cards. One was Making a Ruckus, which by its own right is a fine card.
Hmm.
And then he has Do You Know Who I Am, which is so good that you'll never take Making a Ruckus. So in this comparison, this is a robbery is the Do You Know Who I Am,
Hmm.
and Rhino in a China Shop is the Making a Ruckus. Um, so this is a robbery. So this is an unaffiliated card, so you can splash Rhino and take this card, which means Rhino is going to get splashed with this card. So it's active. So if it is Rhino's activation, he may spend 2 power to play this card. Choose an enemy character within range 1 that is holding an objective token. The chosen character drops any objective tokens it is holding. Rhino then throws the chosen character medium. Okay, so I'm just going to unpack this. So first of all, it's only 2 power, which is pretty decent for Rhino. Honestly, he gets that really easily. They have to be within range 1, which if you remember, Rhino's gore attack, after doing it, you place within range 1 of the character. So it's very easy to get within range 1 with a Rhino to in order to do this. It has to be a character. When you choose the character, there's one prerequisite other than it being an enemy character, and that is that yeah, and other than it being range 1, and that is that it has to be holding an objective token to do this. So I've seen people say like, "Oh, what if they're not holding an objective token? Can you still hold them?" Well, read like the second sentence of the card.
Yeah, just
You
read the card.
choose an enemy character that is holding an objective token. So if they're not holding an objective token, just forget about it. Okay.
Your
There is
schemes are foiled.
just stop right there. All right. But if they are, the chosen character drops any objective tokens it is holding. Any. So if they're holding 5 cubes, they drop all of those cubes. And then Rhino throws the chosen character medium.
Mm,
This sentence alone is a lot because
mm,
there's no size restriction. So he's throwing Dormammu, he's throwing Sentinels, and he's throwing the medium. And it's not away,
mm.
it's omnidirectional.
Yeah.
So this card is just absolutely insane. Um, First of all, it's not hard to pull off. You can pull this off turn 1 easily.
Yeah.
Like the amount of like obviously it's a card, it's not like Black Cat Steel where hypothetically she can do it multiple times a game. But the amount of like hoops people jump through just to make Black Cat able to do her steal on round 1, Rhino can easily get this off round 1 if there's, like, midline extracts,
Mhm.
and they grab it across from him, because all he has to do is move up, attack, do 1 damage, and then he places within 1, and he has the power to do this as a robbery. And if he does more than 1 damage, then he can pick up the thing after. But, I mean, this is just so good, right? I mean, this is, and one thing I really like is that, so for a long time, Voodoo and Black Cat were like, and Enchantress too, before the nerf especially, were like huge, huge pieces because they were very unique in their ability to make you drop extracts. Or I guess take extracts away from you. And in the last like couple months, we've had like 2 or 3 more of these. We had Human Torch, we've had Pyrotechnics, the tactic card,
Mhm.
and now we have This Is a Robbery. And so we're kind of entering a territory where if a lot of teams have access to this easily, it isn't necessarily as limiting, like it's less of a special thing if everybody has it. And I think that's the direction that AMG is going with these abilities. And I think
Yeah.
that's a good approach.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's not like a superpower in this instance because, now it's just Steve Avengers can't abuse it. But like,
Mhm. Right, right,
um,
right.
yeah, I mean, what do you guys think?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a great. I mean, like, I look at this card. This is a robbery, and like, honestly, it's like, is this character going to be a problem? Is he going to be almost an auto include in like most competitive rosters?
I've
Um,
seen some people saying that.
yeah, I would say I don't know the fact that what is he? He's a 4 threat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, probably not at least at the start, but I mean like he's really good for a 4 threat. The other thing here with the this is a robbery is that, if we were still in the era of uh single extracts, this would be absolutely wild, but I think it's mitigated by the fact that that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think this card is like as broken as some people would be making this out to be.
That's another really good point that I kind of glossed over is that these steals and these like drop abilities are not as oppressive as they once were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to agree. I think, and Shane and I were talking a little bit about this uh, before, where I think people were kind of not giving the respect to Rhino. Even before any of these crisis or these tactic cards came out. Um, and I think here's this. This is my hot take. I think Rhino is going to be very, very good in a few places, but I think forcing Rhino into every affiliation or every type of roster is not going to be wise, right? He's not a voodoo, right?
Yeah.
He's not a black cat. He's not a Senor Thanos, right? Um, where you can try to squeeze him in and on everything. I do think that Rhino is going to be very good in crime, and I think he's going to be very good in foes. I've tried him also in Web Warriors. I think he's not terrible in Web Warriors either. There's probably, in the Brotherhood chat, there's been some conversations about throwing him around in there as kind of a discount juggernaut. I don't super love that, but that's just me. Um, but I think Juggernaut or Rhino is going to be very, very good in a few places, and is going to create a couple of problems that are unique, and I like that, and I agree to you guys' points where, and Shane, I think you said it really well that with the prevalence of tactic cards, that's going to kind of give a drop ability. I think it kind of balances things out a little bit, that they're a little bit more accessible and can't be abused by Steve in Avengers. this happens one time a game, and you can potentially rebound from it if someone's not holding it in their hand forever. Even if they are, it gives you an opportunity to dunk on Rhino, if you need to, which is not necessarily easy, but is a way to deal with the problem. Um, so yeah, I like it. Um, I think every time you're going to see Rhino, just like Shane said, this is going to be every time you see Juggernaut on a roster somewhere, you're going to see Do you know who I am? I think you're going to see this is a robbery from Rhino, and um, yeah, I like it. I think it's fun. Um, I think what I like about AMG um, is they make some characters feel really fun, and that's what I love. That's what I love about Rhino. I don't super love Rhino in the comics, right? Because he's just kind of like a goofball crime idiot, right? Like, um, but I love a couple of times I've played with Rhino in the game. I've really enjoyed it. Like, I
He's
haven't,
fun. He's
yeah,
really
I haven't won all those games, but I've really enjoyed it.
um I do want to just the visual of the card I think is so funny. Like he basically he picks you up and shakes you and like you drop your lunch money and then he throws you. And like first of all he can do it to Dormammu, which is
Yeah, that's
outlandish.
hysterical.
It's stupid, but it's really funny. Um but like my I was talking to somebody on one of the discords, I don't remember who it was, but just I have a hilarious image of using this on a Deadpool holding chimichangas. Like like the idea that Rhino is, like, trying to hold someone up and make them like, take something important from them, and he, like, picks up Deadpool and shakes him, expecting, like, a senator or something, and he just drops a stupid chimichanga, and
Chimichangas.
then he
I love it.
throws him away out of frustration.
I love that.
I
I'm
just think
all
that's
in for
really
that.
funny.
I'm all I'm all
But
in.
yeah, Rhino's awesome, and he's just gotten way better, so, I love it.
I'm for it. I'm for it. I like I said, I think I really like what they've done with Reno, and I think a lot of the faux characters have just so much uniqueness to them. I've been spoiler. I've been bullying Shane to put Carnage back into his list because I love Carnage. I think Carnage's cards are just amazing. I love Carnage as a character, and I just think Goblin, what Goblin does on his card is amazing. Like
I actually
I
do have Carnage on my roster at this moment.
right, so I've succeeded, is what you're telling me.
Um, it is getting to a point though where with the releases for foes, it's like I'll take a 3 threat even. Like we have 9 characters and 5 of them are 4 threat. I don't mind having a bunch of 4 threats on my roster. Some people hate it, but like I'll take a 3 threat. I mean, ideally a 2 threat, but I mean beggars can't be choosers, right? So
Right, right.
just please no more 4 threats, AMG.
Yeah, really.
Getting hard to
It's
fit them
getting
in my
crowded.
roster.
Yeah.
Give me a two threat shocker. Two
Yes.
threat
Yeah.
two threat
Yeah.
shocker.
All right. So in our next segment here in the show notes, these crisis cards came out. They updated them.
Yeah,
Uh,
we haven't
they're
talked about it yet.
we have not talked about it yet on this podcast. But I mean, they look great. They look great. I had a chance to play a couple games with them last night, but I know that both of you guys have gotten way more games in than I since these dropped. So I guess I'll just ask you guys straight up, what's your opinion of these new cards?
Um, I mean, I love that they've gotten rid of single extracts.
Yeah,
Um,
tell us something we
I
don't know.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's very good for the game. Um, I have probably I've played quite a few games on them, but I feel like taking a while to wrap my head around some of them.
Yeah,
It's especially some of these I think we're going to be seeing a lot. Like
Hmm.
spoiler alert, senators is going to be very relevant in the meta.
Yeah.
and a lot of people are going to take it. I think some people are going to take it that aren't even good at it. You're just going to see it a lot because it's a very polarizing crisis. There's
So
six.
yeah, so talk about why that is.
Well, it's the first extract to have six on the board. We haven't had that before. It's very centralized, so it encourages
Yeah,
bunching up and fighting. Um, those two things alone are like you're gonna, because in a lot of ways you can look at it and have multiple complete polar opposite takeaways from it, depending on what maybe the perspective that you're coming from. Because I think you're going to have objective focused teams that see this and go, "Oh, six objectives on the board. I really like that. That's really fast." But you're also going to have kill focused teams that see the objective shape and go, "Oh my god, they're all so close to each other. I'm going to kill a lot on this."
yeah. I
Mm.
And
was
they'll take
thinking
it
of
for
that
that.
with Black Order.
Yeah, and it's weird, and there's a lot of stuff like, are you going to be the team that runs across the board and tries to take your opponent's senators? And I think that's really good strategy. It's not midline stuff anymore. So if somebody's being safe and grabbing their own senators on their side, it's not quite as easy to punish them unless you're like range. I'm not sure if a range 4 is going to hit that, maybe, but a range 5. Well, for sure. Like your basic range 3 attacks from like a medium mover are not going to hit characters that are, staying far away, grabbing their own senators. So it's like there's a lot to think about here, and it can get out of hand and score really fast, but it can also get out of hand and become like a pit of death. So
Hmm.
it's been a very jarring crisis for me to wrap my head around. I need to play it more because I've had good games on it and I've gotten wrecked on it. So I don't know. What do you think about Senators, Ben?
I love senators. I love the new senators. Real talk. Um, I was very close to just being kind of done for a while until they made a big change. Single extracts or bully crisis like deadly meteors,
Hmm.
um, where there's just a huge disparity in score, right? Where I score a bajillion, you score zero.
Yeah.
Um, that's much harder to do now. It's still possible, right? But
Yeah,
it's much harder to do. And I was I was getting tired, and I think you saw that at a lot of the competitive players who were just taking a break. Season 9, you saw a lot of players just taking a break, um, which is fine. Exhaustion from a game, especially playing it at a top tier level, is not uncommon. Um, I think this crisis change, in my opinion, saves the game, and really brings a new sense of refreshment, and excitement. Um, I'm really excited about these changes. The only one, so I've played all of these crises at least once, except for Sword. I haven't played New Sword yet.
yeah,
I
Um,
don't think I have either, actually.
yeah. Um, and I now I personally believe that we're seeing a little less sword. One, because hurrah for the death of 14. 14 threat and single extracts going away just excited me to no end. So I think that's why we're seeing a little bit less sword, and sword is less oppressive because of that. My big challenge is kind of relearning turn one measurement shenanigans with a couple of these different map stuff. Um, so that's fun. I like doing that. I like trying to figure out some turn one plays, but um, yeah, I just think there's so many good changes to these extracts, and it would take us forever. And there's other podcasts that go through each crisis, and talk about them at length, and that would take a really long time, for us to do that. Which we could do that, but I think that's a whole episode in itself.
yeah.
Uh, um, but I really, really like this, and actually one of my favorite ones. that I've played a couple times now is Paranoia Pummel's Populace.
Yeah.
One that's just super fun to say, and whoever is coming up with these names, A plus.
Well, it's J. Jonah Jameson, obviously.
Well, yeah, JJJ, yeah, love it. I
It is the
just
Daily Bugle. Yeah.
it is the Daily Bugle. Yeah, I just love it. But I that's actually one of my favorite ones. 16 threats, fun to play with, but I also just love that crisis. It just causes you to think a little bit different. Um, so I've enjoyed it, and it's nice to see a new crisis. And I also super love that they've made them accessible for everyone to print and play. Um, I think that was a really good move.
Yeah.
Um, they did say that they're going to come out with an official, card pack later, so that if people want to buy that and have, kind of the nice looking stuff, they can do that. Which,
I'll be doing
uh,
that.
Yep,
yeah,
same.
spoiler alert. Yeah, I'll be doing that too because I have a problem. Somebody help me.
Yeah.
But
Ben, we know you'll buy like four,
I'll have 30. It just, well, why not, right?
just in case you got to run a tournament and nobody has the cards. Yeah.
Hey, you can't be too careful, right?
Yeah.
So,
Um,
uh, yeah.
So,
yeah. Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
sorry. I was just gonna ask. I had this idea. Um, Shane, I'll ask both of you guys this because I know both of your main factions. Shane, what are your favorite secures and extracts so far playing Spider Foes?
I'm still trying to figure that out. So, I mean, at the moment, it's very weird for me as a Spider Foes player, and I don't know if other Spider Foes players are feeling the same way, or maybe they don't like it hasn't clicked for them because it clicked for me just the other day, where it's all very overwhelming right now because not only am I learning all these crises, but we're getting a new character with Rhino,
Mm,
who is going to be a big piece who would have probably changed my approach to crises before the change. So not only am I learning all of these new setups, but I'm trying to figure out how it works with my new character. And I have just been all over the place. I see good arguments for quite a few. I think Infinity Formula is still a really good one. That was unchanged. I think foes really like that. Um, I mean, if I can wrap my head around going at a lower threat than 17, I think Sword has a lot of potential with Spider Foes. I haven't really gotten the chance to try it yet, but I love neutral secures with multiple back objectives. I think it's really good for like the turtling faux play style, and also being able to push somebody if I do break parity, pushing somebody into like a tricks and traps is really interesting in the power phase. Um, I'm also looking at Extremis, which is another one that was unchanged from before. But now that I have Rhino, I actually kind of want to try running like the D shape a little bit more.
mm,
Um, so it feels weird saying two ones that were not changed. But I do think the new sword is really interesting. I'm moving away from like mutant madmen a little bit, because like unlike sword, mutant madmen isn't really friendly to the trap characters like Mysterio and Nova because it requires physical defense. Um, and in general, I think pay to flips like like mutant madmen and uh like portals and stuff like that are a little less friendly to my foes now because I think we're just going to see more teams geared towards fast scoring that we weren't seeing um in the old meta of Malekith and Hulk everywhere. So that's where I stand on secures. Um were you asking just about secures? I forgot. Were you
No,
asking about
just the extracts and secures.
okay. Well, so the current extracts that I'm rocking with my foes are pretty unchanged as well, but I've been looking at some different stuff. So I'm still running spider infected cubes and hammers. I have been tempted by senators. I don't think it's a good play for foes, but it is tempting for a lot of reasons, like we talked
Yeah.
about earlier. Um, and I've also been tempted by the new Montesi formula now that it's Mystic. I hated
mm,
it when it was energy, um, because foes have a lot of characters weak to energy. And also it's 18 now, which I really like. I just don't know if I can drop one of those two 17s, cubes and spider infected. I just think are really good for foes. So that's kind of where I stand now. It's a tough call though. I've gotten to play in paranoia and I really like it. But I'm sure there are teams that are really oppressive on it that I just haven't run into yet. And kind of the same goes for like Scrawls and Alien Ship.
Gotcha. All right, so Ben, we all know about your love for the Brotherhood of Mutants. So,
Oh
what
yeah.
are your favorite secures and extracts that you've found in your playtesting or in your tournament games, whatever have you, from the new Crisis cards?
Yeah, I what I think has really come out for the Brotherhood of Mutants. Um, I actually think we've gained a lot out of this crisis change. One of the things that we really struggled with was the single extract.
Mm-hmm.
Those were just so painful, and it forced you to take the voodoos and the black cats of the world. Um, I think people were seeing a shift into Mystique pre Malekith nerf, and people were changing their rosters to kind of gear towards more Mystique play. If you remember, Mystique allows when you interact with an extract token, you can pick it up. You spend your power, pick it up, and you get refunded that power.
Yeah.
And then once per turn, you can interact with a secure token and just claim it and walk away, which is really cool. We were seeing a lot more of Brotherhood folks playing that. I think these changes benefit both Mystique and Magneto. Um, and I love that because it gives my roster so much flexibility now. I would normally be afraid of like a senators because there's so many points on the board, and if you're stuck playing, Magneto, you just don't have enough characters to get all of these points. But it really benefits Mystique, who you still want to fight, but also want to grab all these tokens and invite people to come to the middle so you can deception people, and it's really awesome. There's a lot of fun stuff. Um, Going around that now. I think most of our listeners and people who know me know that I'm Team Mags all the way, Team Magneto, and so I've actually um, my secures. Two of them are exactly the same, and that's Demons Downtown and Intrusions. Intrusions just actually got better for Magneto because the old intrusions you had to spend a power to go through the portal, and then it would deal you damage, which was not great for Magneto. I mean, Jugs loved it because he could spend through the go through the portal and spend nothing to or spend one to take no damage. So it was really nice. Demons is also just amazing. It's just a great card or a great crisis for us, and I really enjoyed that. Demons forces people to make bad decisions. If you want to score points, it means you're going to incinerate yourself, um, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with you.
Yeah.
I'm okay with letting you get incinerated so I can hopefully blow you off the board. So the one that I've changed actually has been Deadly Meteors, um, which you know, um, I'm sure excites a lot of my opponents from Everwinter. I abused people on meteors. Meteors was the if you had the majority of meteors, you score 3, your opponent scores nothing. Um, that's a big deal,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Huge.
and it needed to get changed, and I'm glad that it did. So I've taken meteors off and put gamma in. Um, Gamma's really great for us. It's low scoring. It's no longer the your back gamma is 1, middle's 2, and the farthest gamma is 3. It's now 1 1 2. Um, so most of the time, people are going to be scoring 2 VPs. And the way that I like to play Brotherhood of Mutants is low scoring. Let's slap, right? And so I'm all back into Gamma. I tried Gamma before, and you just get abused by Wakanda teams or um, folks who could kind of control you a little bit better. So I really like Gamma. Uh, I've been having a lot of fun with that. So those are my three secures that I'm playing. Um, Two of my extracts have remained the same. Um, Montesi is great. One Montesi moved up a threat value, has gone from 17 to 18. Hooray! I like having higher threats. Um, I do like the Mystic attack. I am sad. Can we just have a moment of silence of
It's gonna be the
Juggernaut?
Juggernaut. No,
Yeah,
no.
just moment of
Really.
silence of Juggernaut. Juggernaut no longer,
Boo!
it was the reading rainbow, guys. He learned how to read and beam people. Come on, like just laser beam from a book. Come on. Um, I know Shane was not a very happy camper of here's Juggernaut running around with a big old laser beam.
A
And
10
so that
dice, 10 dice Montesi beam.
yeah,
Stupid.
what are you
So
talking about? It's
stupid.
great. It's great. So I mean, it is a very good change. I do like it. I do
Yeah.
like the Mystic attack, and again, that's just low scoring. So anytime we can keep the score low is really good. So I like that. Research Station is another one that I absolutely still love. What's interesting for Research Station is I play it completely different now. Which is normally you're trying to play aggressive and get your researcher to uh, their back point, right, the evac point. Now I don't do that because the one extra VP is usually not worth it. You can control the researcher and just kind of keep it around your guys and put it in a really good position. So I like that change. It's kind of forced me to play researcher a little bit different. And 15 threat doesn't really bother me. Um, I've gone back and forth with my last extract. I've gone back and forth with hammers. I like hammers. I like to slap people. That's always fun. But I've actually been thinking about alien ship. Putting alien ship, and I've not played it enough. I've played it a couple times with this Brotherhood team. I've not played it enough to be fully sold on it, but basically, what Alien Ship does is if you during the cleanup phase, a character has the alien core and they have three or more power, they roll 3 dice, and for every wild and skull, every character within two of the person holding them, including themselves, take a damage for every wild and skull. So you could potentially laser bomb people um, with this. It's very interesting. I have it on my Weapon X team because I think it's hilarious to just bomb people with a team with healing factor. It's pretty funny. Um, but but I don't know if I super love it um, with the Magneto Brotherhood just because it could swing the other way and kind of hurt you. So, but I do
Gotcha.
think it's hilarious. I do think it's hilarious with Juggernaut who can just run himself in someone's backfield, be within range two of several characters, and he could just slap people for 3 damage and he takes 2 damage. That's hilarious to me. It's probably not hilarious to other people, but I think it's funny.
Yeah. I was you mentioned research earlier. I think research, if you're an attrition team that's comfortable being on a narrow shape,
Mm-hmm.
this should like I almost want to say it's like an auto include.
It feels like it. Yeah.
It is probably like the slowest thing in the game right now. It's very easy for just no points to get scored at all
Oh,
on this
nice.
if
Okay.
you're contesting on like a any given turn. Um, and if points are scored, it's two, and then it's oftentimes not even like you said, Ben. It's not even really worth the hassle of bringing it all the way to the evac point. So it's very slow. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be weird wrapping my head around these. Um, if you're like a control team, you do not want to see research station.
Hmm.
And I'm starting to think if you're not into brawling, I think you should be avoiding senators at all costs. But I think it's going to take some painful lessons for people to start realizing that because it does have so many objectives and it
Yeah.
looks good
Interesting.
for a scoring team, but
Yeah, right. It's tempting.
um like theoretically, yeah, you can get up to 6 points potentially if you're running that many characters.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the time, there's just going to be senators sitting in the ground that you can't pick up because your character is already holding one, and
Hmm.
everybody's really bunched up and close together, and it's just like a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's the big one to me. And I also keep playing on Mayor Fisk. Uh,
Yeah, we played it 2 times in a row today, right? Right.
yeah, I think I've played it in other times too. Like I just it's a pretty interesting one. It being so close together, it's really good for brawling as well. I haven't gotten to play the new meteors though. It doesn't look too bad, but I haven't tried it yet.
The diagonal shape is very interesting, and I like that. It creates some interesting turn one stuff. Um, I think senators is really interesting too. It's I think control teams. I think you said that really well, and I want to just echo that, Shane. That I think control teams are going to learn a hard lesson. Um, that I think they're going to try to go six wide to potentially score all 6 points. And what they're going to find out is brawling teams are okay with you attempting to do so. And um, more often than not, you're not going to score those 6 points. But it's this weird balance of like you want to because you want the game to end on top or the end of three, right? If you're
Yeah.
taking senators, and I think that's going to be a lot harder than people maybe initially think. And maybe we're missing something because I mean, you and I don't necessarily play controlled teams. You're a little bit more control than I am. I'm all gas, no brakes, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Um,
you compare like does the comparison of senators to the other fast scoring extracts, so infected and spider infected and cubes, is that there's five there. There's not quite six, but two of those five are like very safe to grab.
yes,
So if you want to make that grab in the middle, you just need to have a game plan to grab one safely. Whereas with senators, almost nothing is safe, and it's very easy for your opponent to steal the ones on your side. And if those are beefy characters like a juggernaut running up and grabbing it, they've immediately pretty much broken parity, and you need to be prepared to like steal something back and then do it in a safe way, which if you're playing a control team against an attrition team, it's not going to be safe to go steal one of those other ones on the other side because they have a bunch of characters sitting there begging you to come closer to them. So it's going to be a really interesting one to see like where it shapes out and if control teams can figure out how to make that scenario work.
yeah, and I think that's what's going to be great about the next couple of months is seeing people try to figure that out.
Yeah.
That's what I'm excited about
Oh
is
yeah.
seeing the upcoming changes, and it really excites me to potentially run a Mystique led team that's 5-6 wide.
Hmm. Yeah, because technically overall, scoring is higher than it
Yep.
was. Um, that can be accounted for by there not being single extracts anymore. Um, but I mean, even the ceiling, like the on average, games are ending sooner. They should be ending sooner with these setups.
Yeah.
But I think be careful if you're one of those teams trying to play the fast scoring control play style because some of these might not be as friendly to you as they look.
Well, all right, guys. With that, I think we're going to wrap up this episode. We're running a little over an hour here. So I guess I just want to say thank you to everyone out there for listening. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and do all that fun stuff to help us, kind of grow the podcast a little bit. We super appreciate it. We are especially appreciative of our Patreon members and our YouTube channel membership members. Without those guys and gals out there, we really wouldn't be able to do this as often as we would like. So yeah, super appreciative of your guys' support out there. Thank you all for listening, and we hope to see you all again in the next one.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.